Hi, this is Pod. For this script, I will talk about the animation aspect in Cinema 4D. After we set up all the property, material, light, and camera, we like to create animation out of that. So in this case here, I like to show you how to make the animation in Cinema 4D. First, we have to look at the render option on here, right? You have a render button, and you have the render picture viewer, and also you have a render setting. So on this particular one, right, on the light version you may do not have this option, but on the full version you also have the option, like if you want to export as MP4 or 8-bit color per channel, and you have different options, the file format, the how it run the number, or name that you like to name, something like that. So in this case here I name as animation, and it's going to save without alpha channel. So in case you need to combine this scene with other scene, right, you may need alpha channel, but in this case here I just show you without alpha channel. And then yes, the rest of that on the anti-aliasing, make sure you set as the geometry. If you want to go with the best, so you can do that as you think, if your computer can handle that. And what else? I think save, multipass, nothing. And I think anti-aliasing is geometry, stereo. I think the rest of that you do not need to do anything else. Alright, okay, so now let's go back to the output, and then you look at the frame, right now we do a 25 frame per second, and we do 5 seconds, which is 125 frame, and frame step is 1, field rendering none. Okay, and I think that's it. Yep. Okay, so that should be done, and then I close this window. Alright, okay, now another thing that I like to show you is in here, window customization menu, right? You will see the option on here, menu and layout, right? Right now the set is set to startup layout, so which is work for creating models, and so far what we're working on. But if I want to make animation, you will need the animation layout. Okay, let me activate the animation layout. So when I do the animation layout, you see it's going to be adjust the layout on my screen a bit. You can see a big portion of the timeline popping up here, right? And then you will see a small portion of the viewport, and also you will see the property manager and also the property objects, or the parameter setting. Okay, now let's be talking about the animation aspect, right? So you can do animation for the object, or you can animate the camera, but try to do one at a time. For example, in this case here, what I like to do, I like to create the animation of the light. Okay, so right now if I look at this movie, this logo, right, I think it's look nice, and when I preview, I think it's look okay. But if I look in full viewport, right, you will see I have two light. One is the front and one is the back. So what I like to do with the front of the light, right, I like the light to be animate. Okay, now I select the light and the target is already pointed to my logo, and the light itself is just the one in the front, right? Maybe is a bit on the top, right? It's a bit on the top right here. Okay, so what I like to have is I like to swing my light, animate my light a bit. So maybe start with a bit higher, something like that from the top, and I can preview. Okay, so that what it looked like at the beginning, or maybe I just move it a bit to lower and see what's going on. Okay, so that's quite okay. All right, so for example, when you adjust the light, right, when you adjust the light, I like to show you something on the coordinate right here, right? When you adjust the light, for example, if I move up and down, you will see a certain amount of number is changing. Okay, so which that way, for example, if you adjust the way it look right to you, and then you can preview, okay, if you like that scene, right? So how I'm going to animate this, right? So we can use the keyframe base. The way we can mark the keyframe, right? You can click on this spot right here, okay? Or I can click the right mouse and select animation and add keyframe, so it's going to add the same thing on that. So that means right now I already keyframe, record this particular position of this particular light in this keyframe at 0 second. Now on the next step is I need to move my current time indicator, right, to the last frame. Okay, so that is going to be N over there, right? And then what I like to do, I like to readjust my lighting a bit, right? I like to move my light, okay, let me adjust this to the front right here. Okay, now you can see I have some lighting changing, right? And maybe I move it lower. Okay, now let me preview. Do I still like it? Yes, I'm okay with that. So this means you can come here and then animation and add keyframe, right? Or you can just mark, by clicking on the red dot to that spot. So now let me preview for you what is going on. Okay, so if I move the current time indicator back, right, so you can see the light is moving. Okay, you can see the light is moving. Okay, now if I pray, you see what's going on. You can see the light is moving out, right? Moving out. For example, on this one, you can see the light is moving from the left to the right, something like that. Okay, from the left to the right. All right. Okay, so now I think I'm okay with that, right? So I stop and move the current time indicator back. Okay, so this is one lighting that I want to animate, and I feel that enough for this part right here. So what else should I animate? I can animate more light, or I can animate the camera. For example, right now, okay, now I want to animate my camera, right? This is the first scene on the camera, and then this is all the setting of the camera. I can adjust, zoom in and out, so you can see a few numbers changing on that. So now if you like this position of the camera, okay, that's look good to me, so I can add the animation keyframe, right? Or I can just click on that set, right? And then after I click on that, so I want this camera to okay, at the end of the spot, right here, right? So I move current time indicator to frame 125, which is the end. And then now I want the camera to be, zoom in to the logo, and then swing it to center, right? And then lower. Something like that, okay? So this means it's quite nice to have different options. So now you can see the color changing, right? Only thing that not change is this particular one. So I can, mark it, change, okay? And then I can select and render it. Okay, it look nice, right? Okay, so now you see, like I say, I can animate one at a time, right? So right now I have light, and I also have the camera moving. I have light and the camera moving, okay? So the next step, maybe I can try with the second light, right? So the second light spot, I think it look nice to have the rim light on here, right? So I can select the second light and add keyframe to that. Okay, so this is the second light on the back, and then when the camera moving, okay, I like this light to rotate. Okay, I like this light, this second light, to to moving in closer, right? And rotate it to the back. So I want it to shine the rim light, this part right here. So that means I have to move my camera allow. Okay, so now you can see if I move my camera allow, right? I can see the light, the rim light showing up, okay, right there. And then I can preview, what it look like. So now I can see this edge right here. Okay, so this means I have to click add the keyframe to all this element again. So now this means in this animation scene, right, I have a few elements that rotate and changing, allow this environment, something like that. I can even create the anything that have this symbol, the keyframe symbol. Anything I can I can keyframe it, so I can animate it. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, now if I really like that, right? Okay, now I want to render this. Okay, let me save this. Okay, let me do command save and save it, right? And then I can go to render. Okay, let's start rendering the animation. So now I render the picture from the picture viewer and see what happened. So I click on the picture viewer render, right? And now it start rendering. So it's going to render 125 frame, 25 frame per second. So that means it's going to be a 5-second animation. Yes. Sorry, it's not 125, it's 105. All right, so it's going to be a bit short of 5 seconds. Anyway, you got the ideas. So meanwhile, it's recording or render, right? So I'm going to show you back to After Effects. So it's going to be the After Effects, right? Okay. So now in this case here, you see I'm running Cinema 4D, right? Separates, But now I'm going to import the whole scene, the whole animation into After Effects by using Cinewave plugin on the After Effects. So instead of create the layer of that in that. Okay, so when you start doing this, right, you got to make sure your property file the same, right? 25 frames per second. right? And then of course you want to do it, 5 seconds, right? 25 frame per second. Okay, 1920 by 1080. Okay, so now you got your scene. You can set the background, the way you like. Okay, so in this case here, I'm going to just set to one color. So go to composition setting, and instead of white, I'm going to make it like dark gray. Okay, now I'm going to file and import files. Okay, so I can import my Cinema 4Ds. Okay, back up, download BUI that online class, and then open the logo Cinema 4Ds, right? And bring that Cinema 4D file logo, import. So when you import Cinema 4D file, right, it's automatic trigger the Cinewave, and then you can drop Cinema 4D on your timelines, right? The Cinewave is activate. So now you can see my logo, and you can see, of course, everything was, moving around, right? And everything, and then you can even do the render on that. But only thing different is the background, So in this case here, I like to show you, in case you have different background, for example, like I show you, in red color or different color. So this means if you have a video on the background or something, so you try to compose the 3D logo into the movie, something like that. So that way, this workflow is really good and really time saver for creating animation. Okay, so now let me go back to After Effects. Oh, sorry, go back to Cinema 4D. So after this thing is finished rendering, right, so you can play. So now I can have my animation, preview the animation, so what it looked like, and you can see the reflection on the side, and the quality of the rendering is really good. All right, so that's done. Okay, so thank you for watching. Let me save that.